So here we are again, back on this Moto-4 project, and last you saw we had the good used crank put in, and as you can see I've sort of reassembled some of this side of the case. So this is kind of a time-consuming process, reassembling all of this. So I'm going to go ahead and knock this out, and we'll get right back into it once it's time to install this motor in the four-wheeler. All right, so a little update. We've got the whole bottom end reassembled, everything tightened down. So it's time to put our used top end on. Cylinder looks very good. Our wrist pin and the piston. So not the greatest, but much better than what we had and very budget friendly. So we're gonna get all this cleaned up and installed now. And now here's a quick look at the head. I've pulled the valves. Here's the intake valve. The seat on that one looks pretty good. So the intake valve seat looks pretty good. The exhaust, it's kind of iffy. The exhaust valve seat is probably okay, but I'm gonna go ahead and grind it down just a little. And then we're replacing our valve seals also. And then here's our cam. It's not perfect, but it's in much better shape than the rest of the engine was. Very nice, actually, compared to the rest, so that's good. So I was having some issues with the exhaust valve seat leaking, but as you can see now, this should be plenty good enough to get this thing running again. All right. So we are almost done with the full rebuild on this. We've got our timing set. Camera may look a little off, but it's set dead on. And we've got our head torque down. We're going to adjust our valves and then we'll be set. Okay, so this is where we're at with this project now. I've went ahead and filled the differential and engine up with fresh oil. And now it's time to pretty much reassemble this thing. The engine is secured, and we've done a couple little odds and ends, like the front brake cable, the footrests are back on. Okay, so finally, about probably over a month later, I have received the correct carburetor in the mail. This is another one of the crappy Zoom ones, but this is literally the only thing I can get for this. You can't get the original ones. There are no used ones, so this was basically my only option, and I have to hope this works. Okay, so it looks like we need to grab the little piece that goes in there to hold the throttle. Let me look for that real quick. All right, I think that is it. Sweet. All right, we've got our new air filter in there. Both the hoses hooked up, which is never a fun job. So let's tighten this down. All right, we've got the air box put back on, all our tubes, our carburetor. Let's get the gas tank put on. Since I tore this thing apart probably, so I haven't even touched this thing in a while. So this kind of sucks. This choke knob on this carburetor hits the petcock. So I guess I get to figure that out. Okay, so what I did about this, we went in and put the fuel line on and a fuel filter, and basically I can just slightly bend this out of the way. You see it's in the fully closed, and then that's half choke and then full choke, so that works fine. Okay, so we've got the front fenders back on here, and before I start putting the extra stuff, obviously we still got to do the rear fenders, but I still want to clean this up. These have been washed, but they have not, they still look bad. They're still faded. So I'll show you how I'm going to fix that real quick. Just any sort of spray, lubricant, or oil, and then really fine steel wool. And you see I kind of ran out of oil there, so I probably scuffed it a little bit there. But you're trying to get a smooth finish here. Fine scratches aren't going to be a huge deal on this. In fact, you'd be more concerned about stuff like that or that. But I mean, this isn't a really big deal. It's just a four-wheeler, not a showpiece. So let's wipe some of that off. So you see, that kind of brings back the deep color. Let's see, that's more what it's supposed to look like. So you see that brings it back, and then on top of that, once we clean the oil off, you can see here a test section I did on the rear fenders. So once you clean the oil off, you just give it a nice clear coat, and as you can see, that turned out pretty good, and that's been sitting out here for a while, so that'll hold up good. All right, so these fenders aren't perfect by any means, but they definitely look a lot better than what they did before. The sun kind of makes it look faded there, but clear coat probably needs to be gone over one more time, but that's much better. think right there. There we are. All right, so we've come this far in the project. All that's really left is cleaning up the rear fenders and just kind of fine tuning this thing. We're gonna try and start it. I've rebuilt a lot of these, but might be just a little nervous about this one. First time I've kind of used secondhand eBay parts, but you never know. It's first time for everything. You know, I put it back all together how it came apart. So I'm gonna turn this thing over a little bit. That battery I'm pretty sure is no good, but I'm gonna try it anyways. But first I want to prime the oil system before we get it running at full speed. So I'll do that and then we'll see if she fires. We got a neutral light and a battery's dead. All right, I hope the car's not too loud, but we've got jumper cables hooked up. Let's give it a shot. Let's turn the gas on and see if it runs. All right, let's give it a shot. instead of just idling here. But yeah, that's pretty good for cheap eBay parts. Tires are flat too. So we polished the headlights up just using some of this stuff right there. Not perfect, but definitely makes it clearer. Okay, so we've got this thing finished up now. Looks pretty good. Happy with how it turned out. So we're going to take it for a quick ride and then we'll be done with this. Let's try this thing out. Runs good. You see we're still burning some of that assembly lube and stuff off as I get it nice and hot, but we're looking good here. I also am almost out of gas, so it's not running to its top notch at the moment, but that's going to be it for this one. I'll probably have another quad revival coming up, and obviously more stuff on the truck and tractors and whatever else we can find.